Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight I'll be doing another class on Libra ascendant and Venus in the different signs. Tonight we're going to be doing Venus in Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius usually falls in the 5th house. Usually falls in the 5th house, and so a person who would have the would have the Libra rising, would be very interested in the art, the theater, children, music. No, not music. Children. The main thing in the 5th house is children. Today the world doesn't bring so many children. People are against having children, so it takes on different forms. Sometimes the children doesn't become the main indicator of the 5th house, although it should be. Children seems to be the most important thing. It also rules teaching, because teaching is connected with children, and it rules the theater, art, sport. It rules the theater, sport, creativity, acting, all sorts of things like this. Romance tends to replace children today. Right, so the 5th house is a big house for romance, as opposed to the 7th house, which is marriage. So all those are in the 5th. All those are connected to the 5th house. And so again, with Venus in Aquarius, you're going to have a double, you'll have both in air signs. You'll have the ascendant in air, Libra, and you'll have the ruling planet also in air, so there's going to be an intellectual element to it. There'll definitely be an intellectual element to it. In the Indian astrology, the 5th house is the house of mind, also of the intelligence. So there's also and some people see the 5th house as being the house of intelligence. So it makes a person quite smart if they have this combination. It's considered a good combination for intelligence. It's a good combination for it's a good combination for a lot of things. It's a good combination also to see the ruling planet, Venus being in Aquarius, the disposer is going to be Uranus, so they're going to have they're going to have special ideas, unusual ideas about love and relationships being in Aquarius, and also Saturn is there. They take their relationships seriously. And so it's an interesting combination. I'm going to do 2 charts tonight. Just as I started to do this class, I realized I had a friend from years and years ago in college. Actually, he was there'll be a prelude to the main chart I want to do, because there's similarities to it. He was born, he was a Libra rising, is a Libra rising. I heard he's a lawyer now. When I knew him, he wanted to be a poet. He was a poet and a writer. And he had Libra rising, had Venus in Aquarius in the 5th house, very interested in, literature and things like that. And he had Neptune on the ascendant, and he had Saturn on the ascendant. So the Saturn on the ascendant in Libra is the sign of, Libra is the scales of justice, and the Saturn wants a legal system because it can protect him, right? He knows if he doesn't like to live in lawlessness to Saturn, so he had Libra rising, Neptune, and Saturn on the ascendant, and so made him eventually he gave up poetry, became a mathematician, and then he gave up mathematician and became a lawyer. He became like a patent attorney lawyer or something like that. But anyway, so tonight I want to do another chart, though. Someone else who has, instead of having Saturn, Neptune on the ascendant, he has Jupiter and Neptune on the ascendant, and that's a different thing. Saturn, for example, contracts a person, right? It makes a person very, very serious. It gives them a lot of challenges in life, and things like that. A lot of restrictions. When you have Jupiter on the ascendant, it expands you. It makes you big. It makes you feel large. Your problem is you're expanding too much, not contracting. So Saturn on the ascendant, the person contracts. A bad Saturn, he feels like he's in a room where the walls are closing in on him all the time. Jupiter is feeling everything is expanding around us. When you have Jupiter on the ascendant, it's very fortunate. It's the Indian astrologers say Jupiter on the ascendant nullifies 1,000 bad indications in the chart. You know, it's so important to have Jupiter, a good Jupiter on the ascendant can really make you. And so this man, we're doing a man tonight whose name was Maharaji. He is born 1957, a guru kazay. He was a guru even from his childhood, from his very early age. From about 12 or 13, he took over for his father. And you see that in his chart. See, he doesn't have Venus. He has Venus in Aquarius, but it falls in his 4th house. Actually, on the very beginning of the 4th house. So you see, in his chart, because of the distortion, he was born. He has the Venus in the 4th, and so he uses that Venus towards his. When you have the ruling planet in the 4th, you're very connected with your family and your home and your early childhood. And so in his chart, you see the connection with the father, that he took over for the father. If you look at his chart, he has Venus in Aquarius. The dispositor of Venus is Saturn in the 3rd house. In Sagittarius, religion, and he had a tradition from his family, and that he sort of like took over. And you see that in his chart from the dispositorship. He has the Saturn exactly conjunct his sun, the dispositor. So he took over for his father. You could say Venus is, working towards his father. And he took over from his father, indicated by the Saturn-Sun conjunction in Sagittarius. Right? He is Saturn, and they say his father is the Sun. And they were very spiritually connected, and he took over for him. I don't know too much about the man, but I imagine he's very I don't know, when you have Jupiter is the Jupiter is the guru, right? The Jupiter is the spiritual master, and I guess the people where he came from thinks he's a spiritual master, and he's conjoined that Neptune there, and the Neptune gives him a strong. He feels himself to be very, very mystical. And wherever Jupiter is, Jupiter expands the Neptune. So he has the feeling that he's very mystical and very above the things of this world. And so it's an interesting combination there in his chart. And I thank everybody for listening.